And welcome back. Also making a buzz, a Dutch scientist is working on a new food that gives a whole new meaning to mystery meat. The idea to grow cow meat from bovine stem cells. But there are still a few things to work out. Since there is no blood in the meat, it's pinkish yellow in color. And scientists need to grow the fat separately to keep the meat juicy and tasty. The scientist is expected to unveil his Petri-grown burger in October. No word on who gets the first bite. But to produce the meat on a large scale, it could take up to 20 years, and that's with unlimited funds. So, with this project, would you think it's worthwhile? Would you even eat meat that was made in a test tube? We want to know what you think about
Well,
this.
we certainly had the right guest joining us today. Celebrity chef Eddie Matney. You are still baffled by this.
I'm fuming about this. Why in the world would you eat beef from a test tube? You know, it's just ridiculous. And especially in this day and age when we're talking about all organic stuff, all natural stuff. Why would you do that? And why would you spend 1 red cent on doing something like that? If, in fact, we were reading the article a little earlier that they said that because we're using so much beef, and over the next 20 years it's going to get more expensive. So grant some money to the farmers, the cattle farmers. Find a better way to grow beef. That's a natural way to grow beef. So we're not going to have this problem. So there's abundance of it. Or create a great vegetable burger that's not a tofu burger or something that's really good. Spend that money. A test tube burger. I got to tell you. I love burgers. I love all kinds of burgers. Yeah. I even eat vegetable burgers. I would not touch this. I wouldn't cook it. I'd be afraid that if I touched it, I'd turn green or something like that.
Well, and it's not cheap. It's almost $300,000 to make this burger.
Listen. Give me the 300 grand. I'll figure out a way for the next 30, 40 years that we'll have plenty of beef. You're never going to say, where's the beef? It's going to be right here. This is ridiculous.
I cannot get past the fact that there's no blood in it, so it's pinkish yellow. It sounds like a Pepto-Bismol on 2 buns.
I know. That's gross.
And I'll try anything, but I don't know if I could do this.
No, well, the cattle industry is really suffering, you know, and when they see a story like this, and this is way down the line, folks. We don't want you to think you can go out and order a test tube burger anytime soon. Right. But how tough is this for them to hear something like
first of all, I think they're looking at this thing and this is crazy. Maybe it'll drive them to, to make the conditions that they raise the cattle a little bit better. You know, mad cow disease, all these things that they do. Maybe it's just a wake-up call for them to say, look, we got to take more consideration. We got to raise these animals humanely. We got to have better conditions for these things and do it a little differently. And instead of growing cattle in 90 days, maybe it'll take a little bit longer. And there's got to be some other solution other than putting things in a test tube, shaking it up, and throwing it on a griddle and saying it's a cheese.
I don't think anybody's going to get a Michelin star for cooking this up. Chef, I have to ask you, what was your colleagues? Could you see any of your colleagues, reputable chefs, putting this on the table?
No, I don't think anybody would ever put it on the table. I think it's really, listen, this food is just contrived. That's contrived, bastardized food. That you don't use that. You don't have something like that. That's none of my. And if any of my friends really would use it, you're not my friend anymore.
Well, I tell you, a lot of people agree with you on Facebook, and Aaron and Valerie Ramirez say nothing will exactly mimic meat except for a real cow. Moo.
Mia writes in. I'm not going to say your last name because I don't want to butcher it, Mia. But Mia writes in and says what really should gross people out is the amount of chemicals, hormones, and antibiotics injected into the animals before they are slaughtered, which people then ingest when they consume animal meat. Not only would GE meats be more ethical, but they would be considerably better for human consumption.
And Greg Mills says it seems gross, but the article makes a lot of sense. I'd try it out.
I don't know, Greg. You might be on your own on that one from me. Linda writes in, I just threw up in my mouth, and just because you can do something doesn't mean you should.
I love what Mia, I have to go back to Mia's point, which is what your point was. Maybe this is a wake-up call, though, for the cattle industry, because people who do want to eat meat, who don't want to, do the vegan lifestyle, we need to feel safe about the foods that we ingest.
We do need to feel safe, but this has been going on for years and years and years. It should be a wake-up call that we have to take care of the way that we produce our animals from the birth to the slaughterhouse. Nobody wants to hear about beef being slaughtered, but the fact is, if you take care of it from the start to finish, you're going to have a product. Remember, garbage in, garbage out. Good things in, good things out.
Okay.
That's the way it should be.